Finding your purpose, like that's a big one.
Oh my gosh, I'm not happy. I'm not feeling good. This is not making my heart beat faster.
You might say if you don't have enough meaning in your life, then you're more prone to addiction.
Rise and shine, it's Espresso time. Good morning, Believe Nation. My name is Alex, and my one word is belong. And I believe that the world would be a better place if more people felt that they belong. So grab a cup of coffee and sip on today's message, Find Your Purpose. Over to you, Will Smith.
I wake up every morning. Espresso keep me going. I wake up every morning.
Finding your purpose, like that's a big one. Just keep trying stuff. Just keep trying. You got to keep going. And in terms of finding purpose, it was helpful for me to realize that just because everybody in Philly believed, one thing and one set of ideas, and everybody in Philly was in a certain paradigm, as soon as I got out of the city and out of the country, I realized there were people that didn't give a damn about stuff that was the most important thing in the world. Try, experiment, meet, travel. That was a big part for me, and that's a lot of what you're gonna see on my YouTube channel too. Like, travel is huge.
To find your purpose, you gotta test your ideas. I wanted to be a marriage counselor, I wanted to be a cop, I wanted to go into sales, and for each of these, when I found that passion to figure it out, I went to test it out. Because it's never enough just to sit there and just to think about your ideas. It's like if you're interested in someone, if you like someone, how are you gonna know if they're right for you unless you go on a date with them? You gotta go more often on dates with yourself, on dates with your destiny. When I switched from being a marriage counselor to being a cop, I went and I became a security guard. I tested out that idea. When I went into sales, I became a salesperson. Go test out your ideas. But the only thing I will add, that one thing that I wanna add to Will Smith is, you gotta check your pulse. That we have all these fancy watches right now that tell us what our pulse is. Every couple months, you gotta check your pulse. Is your heart beating fast? Are you still getting excited? You wake up in the morning and you finally, this is the thing that gives me purpose. Or are you flatlining? You got no pulse. You started this thing and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not happy. I'm not feeling good. This is not making my heart beat faster. So yes, go test out your ideas, but also check in with yourself. Figure out, once you start doing it, is this the right thing? Because if it's not, go and find something else. I got a special bonus clip for you, but before that, the question of the day is, if you haven't found your purpose yet, what can you do this week to test out a new idea? Please leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I believe in you, and I hope you continue to believe in yourself and whatever your one word is. We'll see you tomorrow for another shot of espresso.
I wake up every morning. Espresso keep me going.
If you're hungry and you eat, well, that's good, but it's over and then you're on to the next thing, right? It's not exactly sustaining, it's just necessary. That's called consummatory reward, by the way. This other reward system is incentive reward. And the incentive reward system works on dopamine, this neurochemical dopamine, which is also the neurochemical tracks that opiates and cocaine and amphetamines, the drugs that people really like to abuse, alcohol often for some people, activate. And so you might say if you don't have enough meaning in your life, then you're more prone to addiction. And that's definitely the case, even with rats. If you take a rat and you put him in a cage by himself and he has nothing to do, and then you give him access to cocaine, he'll get addicted to the point where he won't do anything but take cocaine. But if you throw the rat back in with a bunch of other rats and he gets to do rat things, then it's very hard to get him addicted to cocaine. And so the purposeless rat is prone to addiction. Well, it's the same with human beings. Now, here's a corollary to that, which is really cool. So the magnitude of the reward you experience as you're moving towards a goal is proportionate to the importance of the goal. So that means the more important the goal you pick, the more possibility there is for the kind of reward, let's say, it's really a state of being that is life-affirming. And it is directly life-affirming in that, like if you're in a football game and it's an important football game and maybe you break a finger. And, normally that's a problem. It hurts and you're going to stop doing whatever you're doing. But if you're right in the middle of the game, then you'll be so amped up on this reward system that it's analgesic. It stops the pain. It also suppresses anxiety. So if you have a purpose, then it's analgesic. It takes some of the pain out of life. It's very positive in that it motivates and energizes you and focuses you and makes you able to remember and pay attention. And it quells fear. And so those things are all direct. And so then you might think, well, what's the best possible goal? Well, and that's the purpose, I would say, of religious training and philosophical training. It's like, just what the hell are you doing in the world?
I can't. This is an expression that is vilified in our minds beginning at a young age. Every time a young child announces this decision, they are corrected. The first adult that hears it asks them whether or not they have even tried. Generally, this confrontation will result in the child giving their task another attempt until their attention span moves on to something else. The adult will see this and chuckle to themselves with knowledge that this is just a child who is yet to learn the art and virtue of perseverance. By the time this child comes of age, however, they will have been told by adults more times than they could count that there is no such thing as can't. It is interesting, then, to think about how many adults seem to proclaim this expression in their lives. Is it because, like many things that adults tell children, they are simply telling the child a general rule that the child must follow, but can be broken once one is grown? Or is it because these adults are simply repeating what they were told as children without thoroughly examining what the phrase "I can't" truly suggests? If you confronted an adult that claims they can't do something with the same question about whether or not they have tried, the answer will almost always be yes. Adults have learned enough to know that it is unreasonable to say they can't until they have at least tried once. Therefore, the real question that we should be asking in response is, have you tried everything? Have you exhausted every possible option, scenario, combination, tool, and approach? I do not simply refer to the ones that you knew of at the time you decided to undertake your task. I mean, have you also researched possibilities that you hadn't known about? Have you determined whether or not there is another person out there that has performed the exact same task you are attempting, or at least something similar? Have you exhausted this research? Have you read every book, blog, journal, magazine, bathroom stall, and website? If the answer to any of these questions is no, then go back and try again, because you don't truly know if you can do something until you've tried absolutely everything. The fact of the matter is that rarely, if ever, is the answer to all these questions yes. Therefore, what is it that people actually mean when they say, "I can't"? A more accurate but more verbose way of saying it would be, I don't care about or want enough this task or the resultant benefits of it in order to do all that is necessary to achieve it. I was told countless numbers of times by people during my month of marathons that they couldn't run one marathon, let alone 31 straight. Every now and then, when I had time, I would discuss what they'd said. We would jointly conclude that if something they cared about and depended on them doing so, it would be possible. The most common example I used was, if someone had a gun to your child's head, do you think you could do it then? Therefore, the phrase "I can't" denotes a lack of investment as opposed to a lack of potential or ability. I do not mean to say that every person I had this conversation with should have had the motivation to run marathons. It was something that I had decided to do, not them. I merely wanted to express to them what I am expressing here. Given the right purpose and enough time, you can.
Raise your standard.
Apple, at the core, its core value is that we believe that people with passion can change the world for the better.
Not one drop of my self-worth depends on your acceptance of me.
I don't ever give up. I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated.
Hey Believe Nation, if you want to see my all-time favorite top 10 rules of success, I have a very special secret video for you. These are the individual clips that I have personally learned the most from and applied to my life and my business. Check the link in the description for details.